And then I thought, wait a minute. Something is off about him. How did he get here so quickly, from 50 feet away? It was like he floated pretty much, which was what I figured out. So I ran back out, and I thought, well, if I'm imagining things, he should be knocking soon on somebody's door or saying room service or something. So I thought, let me go back out and hear him knock or hear him. And I looked down the hallway, looked the other hallway, not a sound, not a knock, just gone, disappeared.
Wow. Hey, I want to take a little break right here, real second, just real quick. I want to tell everybody that's watching on Facebook Live, go on over to www.nightdreamstalkradio.com and tune in to listen to the rest of our conversation with Valentina. You don't want to miss it. So tune in, go on over and switch on over to www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. Okay, go ahead, Valentina. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. So that was the beginning of a first apparition, which then became, well, I've seen a few more, but mostly I've gotten better at capturing them on the photo. Oh, I did see a shadow man. That was another story.
Oh, wow. Where did you, now, was that on the ship too, the shadow man?
No, so I took my paranormal team up to Preston Castle, which was also featured up near Sacramento, was featured on Ghost Adventures. It's an old reformatory for, bad little boys.
Yeah, that's got quite a history, that place.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah, they murdered the maid or something, the teacher, somebody got shoved down in the garage. Not the garage, but the
basement
dungeon
or something.
So.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So, well, right off the bat, we were going through orientation because it gets dark really quickly and there's no electricity or anything. So right off the bat, we were walking through all the rooms just to get familiar with them before we went down. The sun went down and it got black. And I kept getting poked on my shoulder by this, like what felt like a little finger.
Oh,
and
wow.
So each time I would turn around and I'm like, okay, team member is way over there, another one over there, nobody's near me. And I always wear, when I do investigations, for some reason, I wear short sleeve t-shirts so that I can feel, I can feel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
like,
that's a good idea.
Goosebumps, I can feel people being touched. I don't want to miss anything. So even though it might be freezing cold, I always want to make sure that I can be interactive with whatever's there. So this kept happening like 3 or 4 times, and each time I looked around, nobody was near me. So I'm like starting to kind of like, what the heck? Who is poking me? By the 4th time, it really poked me hard, and it felt like a little finger. And I thought, well, if this is a little boy, I'm about the height, that he would stand and, kind of like somebody trying to get your attention, like the teacher's attention, poke, poke, poke.
Yeah.
And the final time, I just cried out, and I said, stop it. And everybody turned around and they're like, what's going on? I said, I'm sorry. I keep getting poked by this little boy, and it's really starting to annoy me because I guess I kept brushing it off, so it was getting more and more urgent. But this went on, and by the 4th time, and everyone said, well, why don't you just tell him to stop? I go, no, it's okay. I don't mind, but I don't know what he wants.
Well, yeah, right, so, exactly, yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing right there. Just I know that Preston Castle's got a heck of a history. Well, so's Queen Mary, but wow. Yeah.
But that's another area. So then, so we took a break, and so the castle sits up on the hill, and then down the hill is like the theater of the castle or something. And so we would meet down there, we would reconvene, and then I would delegate what group took the next section of the castle. So everyone got, we did like an hour in each section. So I start walking down the hill, and all of a sudden I see this shadow, looks like a big guy, running down the hill. And I go, hey, you need to get back now in the break room. We're reconvening. And the person keeps running and ignoring me. So I chase after it. It goes behind a tree. I get over to the tree, and it's gone, completely gone.
Wow.
And I'm just like, so I'm like, okay. And it was just a shadow. All I saw was like the mist of I can't even explain it. It was a dark shadow, fully of a person, but no person.
Yeah, so really. Yeah, exactly. Right. So then what?
So I run down to the break room. I said, okay, which one of you guys was screwing around? And I look and I count and everyone is there. They're like, no, V, we've been sitting here waiting for you. I'm like, okay. And I didn't say much about it till a couple of weeks later when I told one of my members, and he goes, oh my God, you should be so lucky. There's only one other person that has reported a shadow person running on the property. So that makes you number 2 in the world. And I said, okay, I'm kind of excited about that, but holy cow. Like, so it was good. It confirmed that I wasn't crazy. But to this day, I have never seen anything. I can't even explain it. It's not like when you stand in the sun and you look at your shadow, it's kind of gray. This was a full-on, moving, solid, yet shadowy person running at a speed I'd not seen.
Wow.
And running away from me. That was the weird thing. Like, it wasn't even running towards me, but like, what was he doing? Why was he running away? And then he just magically disappeared behind a tree. And when I got to that tree, and the building is surrounded by like 10 or 12 foot, gate, or what do you call it? Fence. So this person would have had to jump the fence. There was no one else. Once we pull up to the castle, you get locked in. So there's no one that could come in. And my team members were all accounted for. So, I always, when I do paranormal investigations, I'm very scientific. I'm very evidentiary. I'm all about like, okay, well, could it be this? Could it be this? But this was definitely what it was. It was a shadow person.
Right. So you eliminate everything else, that's great. I do the same thing. And that's, that makes it more credible when you do that anyway. So
right, you don't want to jump to it and just go, okay, must be a ghost.
Yeah, exactly. You counted where everybody was, and you eliminated process elimination. So I mean, there it was. Plus, I guess you were the second one. You were the lucky second one to see the shadow person.
I know, but the fact that which also helped me validate that I wasn't imagining anything. So there is a shadow person that exists on the property. But there's only one other person. So now I almost want to talk to the other person and figure out who that other person is and, share the stories and see the behavior and get to the bottom of who this person is and why he's different than everyone else there, that's stuck there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because exactly. And so let me ask you this. When you investigated that place, how many total spirits did you find there when you was, investigating?
Well, so there was the little poker in the basement. Then I left, I think I told everyone, I like to be alone in spaces myself in the pitch black. And I sat down there where the area or the shrine had at least been built for where that maid or nurse, that's what it was, she had been killed. And I didn't feel anything in that kitchen. However, when we got upstairs to the second floor, I was just getting out my equipment when we heard this whistle of 3 notes, and I'll never forget it. It went down. Well, I guess it was 3 notes. But I was just getting out my recorder, and we missed it, but we all heard it loud as day, this male voice whistling.
Wow.
And I was like, man, after that, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to have the recorder taped to my hat, and I'm just going to have it on from the minute I set foot on the property because I missed this, and it was a key Class A EVP of just everyone heard it, and everyone stopped, and my team is instructed not to sneeze or cough or whistle, so we knew that this was also paranormal, but nobody caught it. But it was. I'll never forget the notes. It was weird, but cool.
Yeah, it almost sounded like how's that one movie? I can't even think of it now. The Alien movie where she's Devil's Tower. I can't think of it. The first few notes.
The Close Encounters?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That didn't sound like the first few notes of that. Oh,
yeah, no, it was weird. That's why I never forgot it. It wasn't even a song. It was just these 4 or 3 weird notes.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I got out. Well, then I decided to get out and record and do a radio scanner, but I didn't have mine at the time. I used the tour guides. He had a white radio scanner thing, and all of a sudden came through this woman's voice, and she said, "Stop it! And I said, "Are they hurting you?" And then a man's voice came on and said, "Not hurting her." And I have that recording, and I was like, I remember sitting and listening like I was just on the other side of a glass wall, and I couldn't help this woman. And it was the weirdest feeling. Like I felt like somebody was doing something to her, and he was lying and saying, "I'm not hurting her." But for her to say, "Stop it," I knew that something was going on. So it may have been part of leftover from the murder of that nurse.
Oh, wow.
And then a little boy's voice came through. It said hi, and it was the cutest little voice. So that was, so between, being touched, the shadow man, the whistle, and the scanner. And then there was also a moment where I laid down in one of the surgery beds, and all of a sudden, all we heard, I know, I'm a little daring sometimes.
Wow.
All of a sudden, the equipment just had a lot of static on it, which I found that when there's static, there's something trying to come into the room that's affecting it. So sometimes static gets recorded, which is interfering. So we had 5 good, solid things. Had only one thing happened, I would have been thrilled, but we got so much stuff. So that's another fabulous place that was very, very haunted, and didn't disappoint. We didn't have. I like when I don't have to go looking for evidence; it usually comes to me.
Right.
So that's a good time. I feel that they know that I'm sensitive, and so they will usually try to mess with me first and foremost.
You're like a beacon in the night to them, so they come right to you.
I am. They're like, "What can we do?" I've been smacked. I've had my butt slapped. They will mess with me sometimes, and they do cross the line a little sometimes. And they see what they can get away with. I notice with me, they will try stuff just to see.
Right.
If it shocks me or scares me, but they're pranksters, some of them.
Oh, definitely. I got pinched at Gettysburg this September. I was out about 3 a.m, walking out in the woods in the middle of nowhere. And, somebody, it was like a playful pinch. It wasn't like something vicious or anything. But, it was like somebody snuck up behind me and just, like a quick pinch and then like jarred it off again. I was like, hey, come on now.
That's how they are, I know.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Gary asked me to mention something to you about, you helped a priest one time and had a kind of something followed you or had an incident or something. Well, go ahead and tell us about it. I'll let you tell us.
Well, I know. I to this day never really know. So something followed me home or followed somebody home and started wreaking havoc at my house. Back in LA when I lived at the beach. And it started scratching me every 3 days. It started with a long scratch on my knee. And then marks started showing around my neck. There was like hand marks as it tried to choke me. I had marks showing up on my arms. It started writing letters in my arms. It got really freaky. And then it attacked my son. One day I walked in and saw him. He was only 19 at the time, and he was taking a picture of a 4-inch scratch, bloody scratch down the center of his back.
Oh, my goodness.
At that point, I was like, okay, it's one thing you're messing with me, but if you are going after my child, it's on now because I protect my family like nobody's business, as would anyone.
Right, you don't mess with Mama Bear's kids.
Exactly. If I go into these things and bring something home, that's on me. But now that you're branching out, now it's going to be hell. So I got really nervous. I got to the point where I was going to Disneyland like weekly because I didn't know where else to go for safety and just to be, in a happy environment. I couldn't call the police. I was afraid to go home. So I told my good friend.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, you need a place to get a peace of mind sometimes,
Yeah, some place where I could feel that nothing would happen because it was literally the happiest place on earth. So I got nervous and I called my good friend David Strader and I was like, look, do you have anyone you can help me with? Well, first I called the Catholic Church or whatever, the Vatican. Not the Vatican. I don't have that number.
I was going to say, boy, you moved right here.
Yeah.